It was a Friday night, the kind of night where everyone lets their guard down and drinks flow a little too freely. The office had thrown a party to celebrate a big project milestone, and while most people were celebrating with laughter and music, my boss, Lauren, was drowning her frustrations in whiskey. She was usually the composed, confident CEO everyone respected, but tonight she was different, vulnerable and lost in her own emotions. As the night wore on, her speech slurred, and her eyes became distant, unfocused. It was clear she wasn't in the mood to celebrate anymore. I tried to avoid her at first, but when I saw her stumbling in the hallway, it was impossible to ignore. She was standing near the elevator, swaying slightly, looking like she might fall any moment. Without a second thought, I walked over to her, offering an arm to steady her. "Hey, Lauren. Let me help you get home," I said, trying to keep things light. But deep down, I knew there was more to this night than just a drunken haze. She looked at me through blurry eyes and nodded slowly to one side as if she was trying to make sense of what I had said. I offered my shoulder, and she leaned against me, her weight heavy and unsteady. As we made our way out to the parking lot, she leaned in closer, her breath warm, an occasional sigh from her. I kept my eyes on the road, trying to remain professional, but a part of me couldn't help but feel a strange shift between us. I had worked under her for years, but tonight, she wasn't just my boss. She was someone who seemed lost, someone who needed help in a way I had never seen before. When we finally pulled up to her apartment building, she seemed to snap out of her daze, blinking rapidly as if she had just realized where she was. She sat up straighter in her seat, but her eyes were still unfocused. "You don't have to walk me to the door," she said quietly, a hint of something vulnerable in her voice that I had never heard before. "I'm fine." But I didn't leave. Something inside me told me she wasn't fine, and leaving her alone in this state didn't sit right with me. "I'll walk you up," I insisted gently. She didn't sit right with me. "I'll walk you up," I insisted gently. She didn't protest again, so I helped her out of the car and we made our way to her door. She fumbled with her keys before finally managing to unlock it, and we stepped inside. The lights were dim, and the silence in the apartment felt suffocating. Maybe it was because I could sense that something was shifting, something that I needed to understand. I sat across from her, watching her carefully. She was still beautiful, even in her state of vulnerability, but I saw something else in her eyes, something raw, something real. It was the look of someone who had been carrying a weight they couldn't share, someone who had been pretending for too long. After a long silence, she spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm not who everyone thinks I am, you know." I didn't know what to say. She was a powerhouse in the office, a woman who had it all together. But tonight, that facade had crumbled. "What do you mean?" I asked softly. She let out a shaky breath, her hands trembling as she folded them in her lap. "I've been pretending for so long. I've been pretending to be the strong leader everyone needs, but the truth is, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared I'm not enough. Scared I'll fail everyone." Her eyes welled up with tears, and my heart ached at the sight. This was a side of her I had never seen, a side that was human, vulnerable, and unsure. I didn't know how to comfort a person who was just person to feel that way. "It's okay to be scared. But you're not alone." She looked up at me then, her gaze intense. "You don't know what it's like, do you?" Her voice was low, almost bitter, but there was something raw in her words that hit me deep. "No, I don't," I admitted honestly, "but I'm here for you. I'll always be here to listen, no matter what." She fell silent, her eyes downcast, as if contemplating my words. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she looked up at me with a deep sigh. "Thank you," she whispered. "For seeing me as something more than just the boss. For seeing me as a person." I didn't know why, but her words stayed with me long after I left her apartment that night. The next morning, when I saw her in the office, she was back to her usual confident self, but there was something different about her. A subtle change, like a weight had been lifted. But I'll never forget the way she had looked at me that night, the way she had opened up in a way I never expected. Her words, "Thank you for seeing me as a person," will stay with me forever. If you believe in second chances, kindness, and showing up for people, seeing me as a person, will stay with me forever. If you comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Has this story touched your comment, share?